Good evening and welcome. Tonight I'm going to be reading to you from this book. It's called Children from Australia to Zimbabwe, a photographic journey around the world. It's by Maya Aymera and Anna Risa Versola. And I'm going to use a pointer. Here we go. This book is a little old. Some of the facts are a little outdated, like some country names, but overall it's pretty typical of a American world fact book for kids. You'll see what I mean. Inside this book you will read about the countries and the children who live in them. We're going to see Western Samoa, the United States, Mexico, Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Brazil, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal, France, Lithuania, Hungary, Turkey, Yemen, Oman, Qatar, Russia, China, Japan, India, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Australia. Good day from Australia. Australia is both a continent and a country. It is the 6th largest country in the world and the smallest continent. Large areas of Australia are desert, where it is flat and very dry. Almost in the middle of the country is a huge rock the size of a mountain called Uluru, it's now called. There are caves in the rock that are decorated with paintings and carvings left by the first people to live in Australia, the Aborigines. Aborigines were once nomadic and traveled from place to place to hunt and gather food that grew in the wild. Their hunting weapons were boomerangs, and their hunting dogs were dingoes, a kind of dog that once lived only in Australia. Dingoes howl and hunt in packs like wolves. Today, many different people live in Australia. Some of them are great-great-grandchildren of people who came here from countries in Europe. The girls on the opposite page are at a beach festival in Perth, waving flags from Great Britain and Australia. People who have settled more recently come from other countries like China and the Philippines, Vietnam, or Malaysia. The girl who was dancing here is from Indonesia. This is the first day of school for the two young friends you see on the left. They wear uniforms to their classes. Some children do not go to regular schools because they live in a place called the Outback, far away from the big cities. They can wear what they want because their teachers cannot see them. These students attend schools of the air using two-way radios to talk with their teachers about their lessons. Here are some more facts about Australia. The capital is Canberra. Languages spoken are English and Aboriginal languages. Population, as of the printing of this book, I need to say for all the numbers here. Total population is 18.5 million. Number of children is 4.6 million. Favorite sports are cricket, rugby, swimming, and soccer, but known as football. Environmental fact. The sun is very strong in Australia, and all the children are encouraged to slip, slop, and slap. Slip on a shirt, slap on some sunscreen, and slap on a hat. Other countries that start with A include Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Andorra, Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Argentina, Armenia, Austria, and Azerbaijan. Oi from Brazil. Brazil is the biggest country in South America. Once it was mostly rainforest. Now it has many large orange groves, cattle ranches, and coffee plantations. In Sao Paulo, near the coast, right there, factories are busy making cars and other products. So the children of Brazil, like children in many other countries, see things changing all around them, whether they live in the cities or the country, and whether their families work and prosper or struggle to make a living. Long ago, the only way to travel across the rainforest was by boat along the Amazon River, the second longest river in the world. Today, the river is still used as a water highway, but many roads are now being built to make travel easier. Most of the old rainforest still stands, and people are exploring ways to save it. People new to the rainforest can learn a lot about it from the Indians who live there, like the two Kayapo boys on the next page, right here, who are all dressed up for a special occasion. The Indians can tell you which trees have the best nuts and which leaves, seeds, or bark make good medicines. Many Africans came to Brazil to work on the sugar plantations. They brought their music with them, and over the years, Brazilians have blended the music of Africa, Europe, and the Amazon to make their famous dance music, like the samba. Children often stay up late with the grown-ups, especially during the big annual festival of Carnival. Like grown-ups, they can perform a carnival dance and beat out rhythms on their conga drums. You can see over here celebrating Carnival. More facts: the capital is Brasilia. Languages are Portuguese, Spanish, English, French, and languages of the Amazon region. Total population 165.8 million. Number of children is 60.1 million. Favorite sport is soccer. An environmental fact: Brazil makes most of the world's orange juice. Other countries that start with B are the Bahamas, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Barbados, Belarus, Belgium, Belize, Benin, Bhutan, Bolivia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Botswana, Brunei, Bulgaria, Burkina Faso, Burma, which is now called Myanmar, and Burundi. Ni hao from China. China has more people living in it than any other country in the world. A Chinese child from the north of the country will have a very different life and a different way of speaking from someone who lives in the wide grasslands of West China or in the warm south. The young boy on the next page carries a basket of coal as part of his chores at school in the Gansu province in north-central China. Winters there are long and cold, so people burn coal to keep themselves warm. The Chinese were the first people to use coal as a source of fuel and energy. They were also the first people to make firecrackers for their celebrations, and they invented a way to print letters on paper. The girls pictured on the next page are from Xinjiang province, and they are reading prayer books. The Chinese do not use an alphabet for sounding out words as we do. They use symbols that represent a single word or idea. If you do not speak the same dialect as other people, it does not matter. You can write down your idea in symbols and they will understand. Two-humped camels are still used today to travel across remote provinces. A more modern way to travel the long distances between China's big cities is by train. The most popular means of transport, however, is the bicycle. City streets swarm with bicycles as people travel to work or on errands across town. If you were a child in China, you would no doubt dream of riding a bicycle as soon as you were able to, and you would hope to have one of your own someday. The capital is Beijing. Languages spoken are Mandarin Chinese and many other Asian languages. Total population is 1.2 billion. Number of children is 380 million. Favorite sports are badminton, basketball, soccer, and table tennis. Environmental fact: adult giant pandas weigh about 220 pounds. They eat mostly bamboo leaves and shoots and live in the forests of central China near Tibet. Other sea countries include Cambodia, Cameroon, Canada, Cape Verde, the Central African Republic, Chad, Chile, Colombia, Comoros, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, Costa Rica, Côte d'Ivoire, Croatia, Cuba, Cyprus, and the Czech Republic. Hola from the Dominican Republic. If you look at a map, you will see several large islands in the Caribbean Sea. One of them is Hispaniola, and it is divided into two countries, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic has the highest mountains in the Caribbean and a lighthouse that people say can be seen from the moon. Dominicans are a mixture of peoples, as you can see from the photographs. Look at these cute kids. We are a sancocho, the Dominicans often say, referring to a favorite dish of the people, which is made from many different meats and vegetables, all stewed together in a big pot. In the Dominican Republic, you can taste the history of the people who have lived there. The plants that the Indians ate long ago were corn, sweet potatoes, peppers, peanuts, and yucca, sometimes called cassava. Dominicans also love a hearty meat stew, which mixes elements from Spain and Africa. And they eat plantain, a kind of large banana, cooked in many ways, ripe or green, mashed or sliced, boiled, roasted, or fried. Sugarcane is the Dominican Republic's main crop, and the country refines sugar and sells it to the rest of the world. Chopping down sugarcane is hard work, but sometimes even children are called in to help harvest the cane. City children must often work, too, to bring in a little more money for the family. Over half the people in the Dominican Republic live and work in cities. For fun, they play or watch baseball. Dominican baseball players are among the best in the world. And when the game's over, they can get together and dance the merengue, a dance that was invented in the Dominican Republic. The capital is Santo Domingo. Their main language is Spanish. Total population is 8.2 million. Number of children is 3.2 million. Favorite sports are baseball, basketball, soccer, and volleyball. Environmental fact: over 4,000 humpback whales that live in the North Atlantic Ocean come to the northern coast of the Dominican Republic to have babies. Other D countries are Denmark, Djibouti, and Dominica. Hola from Ecuador. Ecuador means equator in Spanish. If you look at a map of the world, you can see a line drawn across the middle of it. This is the equator. It runs right through Ecuador, which is how the country got its name. Ecuador stretches from the Galapagos Islands over the high Andes Mountains to the Amazon rainforest. Most of the people in Ecuador are American Indians, who have lived there since ancient times. But over 400 years ago, people began to arrive from Spain and Africa and settle here, some against their will. Now almost everyone grows up speaking Spanish, going to church, and taking part in Christian festivals that celebrate important events in the life of Jesus, like Easter and Christmas. Most Ecuadorians live in cities in the highlands and along the coast. The easiest way to get from one town to another is by bus. There are a lot of buses plying the highways, and tickets are cheap. Some of the roads and paths across the mountains, however, are too steep and narrow for cars or buses. So the people who live and farm there use horses and donkeys to help them carry heavy loads of wood, fruit, vegetables, and goods to the town markets. A child can drive a donkey along a road as well as a grown-up. On the next page, a young girl is selling hand-woven rugs at the famous market at Otavalo. Saturday is the busiest day, and the local people arrive early to fill their stalls with handmade rugs, sweaters, and carvings to sell to visitors. If you wanted to buy bread or medicine or groceries, you would go to a store in town. The front steps of a shop make a comfortable spot for these girls reading their school books. So the capital is Quito. Languages are Spanish and Amerindian languages like Quechua. Total population is 12.1 million. Number of children is 5 million. Favorite sport is soccer. Environmental fact: The Galapagos Islands are home to several animal species found nowhere else in the world, such as one species of giant tortoise. These tortoises can grow to be 4 feet long and are like large turtles, except they live on land and not in water. Other countries are Egypt, El Salvador, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Estonia, and Ethiopia. Bonjour from France. France is not the only country where people speak French. You can hear French spoken in places as far apart as Vietnam, Senegal, and Canada. Anyway, if a French child meets a child from one of those countries and does not know the other languages spoken there, the children can always talk to each other in French. Thank you, colonization. That's an ironic thank you. French children today learn in school about the days long ago when France had kings and queens. They learn about the many famous French artists and scientists, and about the beautiful palaces and cathedrals of their country. People come from far and wide to visit the old French cities, but France is famous too for everyday things that children learn about at home, on the farm, or in their hometown. If you lived there, you could find out what it is like to be a bridesmaid or a page at the wedding of a relative, like the children in the top photograph on the next page. I think you can do that in any country, but oh well. If you went to the bakery to buy bread for your family, you would most probably bring home long, thin, crusty loaves of white bread, like the girl with the bicycle. They are called baguettes, and you find them all over France. If you like cheese, there are over 400 different kinds to choose from. Perhaps your family owns a farm with dairy cows or goats, and you make your own cheese or enjoy at home and to sell. Perhaps your family has a vineyard and grows grapes that will be crushed and made into wine. As a child in such a place, you would grow up hearing the adults around you talk about the weather and seasons and soil and the prices they can get for selling grapes or wine. You would know more about how wine is made than someone who just goes and buys it from a store. The capital is Paris. The language there is French. Total population is 58.6 million. Number of children is 13.4 million. Favorite sports are cycling and soccer. Environmental fact: the highest mountain in Europe is Mont Blanc, which means white mountain. It is always covered in snow, which makes it popular among skiers. Other F countries are Fiji and Finland. Hola from Guatemala. Guatemala is a country of volcanoes and earthquakes. Earthquakes have destroyed Guatemala City twice in the last 100 years, but each time the city has been rebuilt, and now it is the largest city in Central America, with more than 2 million people living in it. More than half the people living in Guatemala today are children, and many of them live in cities and towns. If your family does not have much money, you most likely will not spend much time in school. Instead, you will stay at home and help your parents. If you are too little to do grown-up work, you can look after younger brothers and sisters and help with chores. Many children live in the highlands that stretch across most of the country. They help on the family farm, growing vegetables for themselves and to sell in the markets in town. Most Guatemalans are descendants of the Maya Indians, who lived here long before the Spanish came, hoping to find gold and staying to rule the country. Guatemalans learned Spanish and Christianity from their rulers and from the Spanish priests who came here with them. 500 years ago, before the Spanish arrived, the local people were weaving fine wool fabric using natural dyes. As you can see from the photographs, children often wear a modern version, woven in brightly colored stripes. The country is famous for its fabrics. You can buy them in the market in Guatemala City or in shops all over the world. Guatemala also has a vast rainforest. It attracts visitors from other countries who come to see its rare birds, plants, and animals. For our young Guatemalans who could work there one day as guides, rangers, or scientists, the rainforest is an important part of their small country's future. The capital is Guatemala City. Languages are Spanish and Maya languages. Total population is 10.8 million. Number of children is 5.5 million. The favorite sport is soccer. Environmental fact. The national bird is the quetzal. Known for its beauty, it is bright green with a red chest, a yellow beak, and a tail that can grow to be over a foot long. Other G countries include Gabon, the Gambia, Georgia, Germany, Ghana, Greece, Grenada, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Guyana. Sia from Hungary. Hungary lies in the heart of Europe, far from the ocean. The great river Danube marks the northwest border of the country, and then turns and flows right down the middle of it, cutting it in two. The Danube also splits the capital city, Budapest. One side of the city is called Buda, and the other is called Pest. Cute. Hungarian children learn early about thermal springs. These are sources of natural hot water flowing from the ground. There are over 500 of them. The water is full of minerals that people say are good for you. You can take long, relaxing baths in it or drink it, and if you were sick, you would feel much better. Hungary is home to the Magyar people as well as the Roma. We don't use that word anymore. The Roma are travelers. They stay in a place for a while, doing odd jobs, playing music in cafes, selling baskets, or fixing things for people. Then they move on. The girl holding the baby in the picture is Roma. In one of these photographs, you can see some boys in their music class learning how to play horns and trumpets. Hungarian children can be proud that some of the biggest names in classical music, like Franz Liszt and Bela Bartok, came from their country. The girl standing in front of the vegetable stand is shopping for peppers. Fields and fields of sweet red peppers grow in the Hungarian countryside. Some are picked and dried and then ground into a spice called paprika that people use all over the world to flavor foods such as sausage and stew. Paprika has a special place in honor in the Spice Pepper Museum in the town of Kalocsa, I assume. The capital is Budapest. Language is Hungarian. Total population is 10.1 million. Number of children is 2.1 million. Favorite sports are soccer and swimming. Environmental fact. Lake Balaton is the largest freshwater lake in Central Europe, and it averages only 10 feet deep. It's a favorite spot for people and for many kinds of birds. Other H countries are Haiti, the Holy See, and Honduras. Namaste from India. India is a country of opposites. It has the highest mountains in the world, the Himalayas, and land so low that it often floods. There is snow in the north and tropical forest in the south. There are deserts, and there are places where 400 inches of rain fall every year. Calcutta is one of the world's largest cities, but most Indians live in small villages. In the cities, among all the other noises, you will hear the creaking of rickshaws. A rickshaw is a two-wheeled cart attached to a bicycle. The children you see riding together in the back of a rickshaw are on their way to school in Jaipur. It can get very hot in India. People use umbrellas to shield themselves from the sun and enjoy long, cool drinks, like the boy in the photo. boy sitting cross-legged on the grass are for Gangtok in the Himalayas. They are students at a Buddhist temple and are now old enough to wear the colored robes of monks and to shave their heads and to learn about their religion. You can see a heap of brass candle holders scattered on the grass in front of them. Most people in India belong to the Hindu religion, which honors many gods and goddesses. Each one stands for a different thing. The god called Ganesh is the god of wisdom, and Lakshmi is the goddess of luck. One thing that Indians share is a love for spices in their food. Some spices are hot, like pepper and ginger. Others are sweet, like cinnamon, or mellow, like cumin. Depending on where you live, you could sit down to a meal of hot curried vegetables with rice and yogurt, or crispy deep-fried pastries, or flat bread and lentils. The capital is New Delhi. Languages are Hindi, English, and 14 other official languages. Population is 1 billion. Number of children is 413.5 million. Favorite sports are badminton, cricket, and soccer. Environmental fact. Children in the Himalaya mountains play a game called chipko to save trees. One child is given an axe and pretends to chop the tree down. The other children run to the tree and hug it. Chipko means to hug in Hindi. Other I countries are Iceland, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Ireland, Israel, and Italy. Konnichiwa from Japan. Japan is unusual among the countries in this book because most of its people share the same roots and speak the same language. The country is actually a string of 4 large islands and about 4,000 smaller ones, and was not easy to reach in olden times. For centuries, Japan was more or less on its own. These were the years of the fierce samurai warriors and their leaders, the shoguns. Japan is now a country with factories that build everything from cars to computers to television sets. Japanese fishing ships are large and fast and catch more fish than ships in most of the other countries in the world. But the Japanese have not forgotten their past. Many old traditions live on. People have a lot of respect for their parents and older people. You would always try hard to do what your grandmother or grandfather wanted you to do. On special occasions, many Japanese dress up in traditional robes. The little girl in the photograph is wearing a kimono, and the 4 little boys on the next page are wearing robes called yukatas. And everyone drinks tea. It is not easy to learn how to prepare and serve it gracefully in the traditional Japanese way. One popular art among the Japanese is origami, the art of folding paper into shapes. Birds, animals, little cups, or boxes. A favorite shape is the crane, a bird that is sacred in Japan. People believe that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your wish will come true. A children's monument honors the legend of a crane that lived for 1,000 years. You can find it in Hiroshima, a city that was bombed in World War II, in a place called Peace Memorial Park. The monument is decorated with thousands of paper cranes left there by visitors. The capital is Tokyo. Language is Japanese. Total population is 126.2 million. Number of children is 23.6 million. Favorite sports are baseball, soccer, and swimming. Environmental fact. Tsukiji is the largest fish market in the world. Every day this market sells 2,500 tons of fish, which is more than the weight of 416 elephants. Other J countries include Jamaica and Jordan. Jumbo from Kenya. There's the rooster. Oh well. Kenya is home to many groups of people who have lived alongside each other for hundreds of years, speaking their own languages and finding different ways to make their living. The Kikuyu, for example, live in the highlands, where there is rain and cool weather, and grow coffee, tea, and corn on their farms. The people who live along the hot, wet coast grow coconuts and sugarcane and catch fish. The Maasai live on the Great Plains of Kenya, where the land is very dry and good grass and water are hard to find. So they move from place to place with their cattle and goats to make the most of what is there. Maasai children grow up drinking a lot of fresh, creamy milk and yogurt. They wear colorful bead necklaces and earrings, boys as well as girls, and old people as well as young people. Most Kenyans live in the country, but about 1/4 of them live in towns such as Nairobi, the capital. And like townspeople everywhere, they do things like repair cars, go to school, make or sell things, or work in offices or hotels. If you were going to a typical school in Kenya, you would wear a school uniform just like your classmates. The uniforms are often quite colorful. Many foreigners come to Kenya to see its famous game parks and beaches. You don't have to travel far from Nairobi to see giraffes, elephants, antelopes, lions, and rhinoceroses. There used to be plenty of land and water for all the people and the animals, but now there are many more humans and people have to figure out how to share it all. Kenyans like the idea of Harambee, which means all put together. There are lots of ways to have Harambee. You can have fun with it by playing together like the school children in the photos. I guess that's playing, crawling into the window. And you can invent useful things from what is around you, like the boy pictured with his homemade bicycle. Oh, they're playing games up here. I see. The capital is Nairobi. Languages are English, Swahili, and other African languages. Total population is 29 million. Number of children is 15 million. Their favorite sport is soccer. Environmental fact. Kenyan women protect the environment by planting trees. They call it the Green Belt Movement. Trees provide food, fuel, and medicine for people in rural Kenya. Over 20 million trees have been planted since 1977. Other K countries include Kazakhstan, Kiribati, Kuwait, and Kyrgyzstan. Labas from Lithuania. If you were born before 1991, you are older than the new Lithuania. People have lived here next to the Baltic Sea for a long time. For much of that time, neighboring nations ruled them. In this century, or Lithuania was part of the Soviet Union, but in 1991, Lithuanians told the world that they wanted to be their own country, not part of a larger one. Lithuania is so far north that in the winter, there are only a few hours of daylight, but in the summer the days are long and warm. Out in the country, farmers raise pigs and grow crops like wheat and potatoes, which thrive in Lithuania's rich, well-watered earth. It is a wide, gently rolling country with no mountains, and has always been a good place for farming. There is plenty to do outdoors in the summertime. In the city, children often take part in chalk drawing competitions. These turn into community festivals with people playing music to attract onlookers and make it more fun for everyone. You can also go water skiing on one of Lithuania's 3,000 lakes, or steer a boat like the girl in the photograph, who is navigating along one of the 740 rivers in Lithuania. Basketball is a game for all seasons, and Lithuanians are great fans. The country is very proud of its national team. The players are so good that their team has won many medals at the Olympic Games, and several players are now members of professional teams around the world. Many Lithuanians are Christians belonging to the Roman Catholic Church. Like other Catholic children, when they are old enough to understand their faith, they take part in a ceremony called First Communion. You can see how they dress up for this important occasion, with the girls in white dresses and the boys in colorful Lithuanian costumes. The capital is Vilnius. Languages are Lithuanian and Russian. Total population is 3.6 million. Number of children is 916,000. Favorite sports are basketball, soccer, and handball. Environmental fact. Lithuanian children like to go out into the woods and fields in the summer and fall to pick wild mushrooms and berries. They are very careful to pick ones that are safe to eat. Other L countries include Laos, Latvia, Lebanon, Lesotho, Liberia, Libya, Liechtenstein, and Luxembourg. Hola from Mexico. Many children in Mexico live with members of their extended family, which includes themselves, their brothers and sisters, and their parents, as well as their aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents. The household will often come together for the comida, the main meal of the day. Mexico has many different kinds of foods, but nearly everyone eats beans, rice, and tortillas. Tortillas are made with flour, water, and cornmeal and are shaped by hand into round, flat cakes. Meals with tortillas are a big part of Mexican celebration like El Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead is celebrated on November 2nd, and Mexican Christians remember all people who have died. Everyone celebrates this holiday in a big way. Families get together and hang up fake skulls and skeletons, eat candy in the shape of bones, and decorate the graves where their relatives are buried with candles and flowers, just like in the photo. They spend the day with the dead, talking about them, praying, singing, and sharing food and drink. Another big holiday is the Feast of the Virgin of Guadalupe. As the story goes, a local farmer saw Mary, the mother of Jesus, in the hills near Mexico City. People began to visit the site because it was a holy place. Now thousands of them come every year, and the feast is celebrated all over Mexico. Here you see children celebrating the feast. Let's see. I guess this one, yeah. Celebrating the feast in the town of Oaxaca. You can also see some young boys playing in a fountain in Guadalajara. Guadalajara is Mexico's second largest city and is so beautiful that it's been given a nickname, the Pearl of the West. Many Mexican children have to work hard every day, but like children all over the world, these boys have found a way to have fun using what they find around them. The capital is Mexico City. Languages are Spanish and various Amerindian languages. Total population is 95.8 million. Number of children is 38.7 million. Their favorite sport is soccer. Environmental fact. Every fall, more than 100 million black and orange monarch butterflies arrive to spend the winter in central Mexico's mountainous forests. These butterflies travel over 1,500 miles from the eastern and central parts of the United States. Other M countries include Macedonia, except it's now called North Macedonia, Madagascar, Malawi, Malaysia, the Maldives, Mali, Malta, the Marshall Islands, Mauritania, Mauritius, Micronesia, Moldova, Monaco, Mongolia, Morocco, and Mozambique. There we go. Hello from Nigeria. Nigeria is a large country any way you measure it. If you tuned into the television or radio, you would hear the news broadcast in English and in all the country's major languages. Over 400 languages are spoken here. Nigeria has more people than any other nation in Africa. It is blessed with good farmland and forest and oil, so it is also one of the wealthiest. and it stretches from sandy beaches in the south through swamps and tropical forest into dry grasslands where few trees grow. In the north, the land is almost desert. About half the children in Nigeria go to primary school, and some go on to secondary school and university. The rest learn a trade at home. Like many other children in the world, they play alongside grown-ups as they work and learn by watching and helping where they can. Some will go out into the streets and sell things to passers-by, like the boy on the next page who is selling peanuts in the town of Jos. Even small children will help in some way. The women and children in another of the photographs are Igbo from the east of Nigeria. The adults are decorating calabashes, which make good bowls and pots for storing or carrying things in. Calabashes are like pumpkins. When they dry out, you can carve patterns on the hard outside skin and scorch the patterns black with burned sticks. Wherever they live, Nigerians love to get together to celebrate special days. Maybe it is a child's first birthday, or the farmers are harvesting their yams. Maybe it is the day of the masquerade, when someone puts on a huge mask and dances around, while other people sing or beat on drums. If you are a good drummer, you can beat out high and low notes on the drums to make them sound like they are talking. The capital is Abuja. Languages are English, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Fulani, and other African languages. Total population is 106.4 million. Number of children is 53.7 million. Their favorite sport is soccer. Environmental fact. Nuts of the cola tree are crushed to make the juice used in cola drinks. When you give someone a cola nut, it is a sign of friendship. Other N countries are Namibia, Nauru, Nepal, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Nicaragua, Niger, North Korea, and Norway. Merhaba from Oman. The leader of Oman is Sultan Qaboos bin Said. When he came to power, he told his people that their country had once been famous and strong, and that he would work to make it so again. Every Omani would play a part in reaching this goal. If you go to Oman today, you can see how far the country has come, using the money it has earned from selling oil. Where before there were only rough tracks, now there are wide roads. Where children once might have gone blind from eye disease or been disabled by accidents or illness, there are now hospitals where they can get treatment. When the parents of these children were little, there were only 3 schools in the whole country, and they were only for boys. Now there are over 1,000 schools for girls as well as boys. In fact, at the new university, there are more women students than men, and girls can look forward to growing up and getting interesting jobs like being an air traffic controller or a doctor. There are 14,000 Boy and Girl Scouts in Oman. The uniform for the Girl Scouts includes a headscarf because that is part of the traditional dress for girls. On special occasions, girls will dress up and wear shimmering robes and decorate their hands with henna, which is a dye made from the flowers of a shrub. Half of Oman's people work in traditional jobs like farming and fishing. Some children know all about looking after sheep. Others are fish experts. You can see 2 boys throwing handfuls of sardines into a pile on the beach. Fishermen caught the sardines in the Arabian Sea, brought them to land, and dumped them on the sand to dry out. These sardines will not be eaten but turned into fertilizer for crops grown in the mountains and valleys of Oman. The capital is Muscat. Languages are Arabic, English, Baluchi, and Urdu. Total population is 2.3 million. Number of children is 1.2 million. Favorite sports are cricket, basketball, hockey, swimming, and volleyball. Environmental fact. On many of the protected beaches of Oman, people come to watch the green sea turtles that swim ashore at night to dig their nests and lay their eggs. And there are no other countries that start with O. Mabuhay from the Philippines. The Philippines are a chain of more than 7,000 islands in the Pacific Ocean. There are 12 large islands where most of the people live, but no Filipino lives very far from the sea. Many different peoples share the Philippines. Some of them have been there so long no one knows when or how they came. Others are more recent arrivals. The first European to come to the islands was the explorer Ferdinand Magellan, with 3 ships that barely made it across the Pacific. After him came the Spanish, who ruled the Philippines for over 300 years. Through all this time, the Filipinos kept their own languages and many of their old customs. The girls in the photo on the next page are dancing to the music of gongs and bamboo flutes. They live in the north in Luzon, the largest island in the Philippines. Filipinos also learn a lot from people of other cultures. The boys on the next page are playing basketball, which is also popular in the United States and Lithuania. The children on the beach are lying down in what looks like mud, but in fact it is clean black sand. The sand is black on the island of Luzon because it comes from volcanoes. The islands are made mostly from volcanoes, old dead ones and new active volcanoes that from time to time still send lava and ash spewing up into the air. The young weaver lives on Mindanao in the southern Philippines, right there. She is weaving fabric on a loom, which keeps the long threads tight and lined up neatly. Many Filipinos are Christian, but on Mindanao, most people are Muslims. Filipino children, wherever they live and whatever their religion, always help their families by working or caring for their younger brothers and sisters. The capital is Manila. Languages are Tagalog, English, and Philippine dialects. Total population is 72.9 million. Number of children is 32 million. Their favorite sport is basketball. Environmental fact: the Philippines are famous for handicrafts made from natural materials like bamboo and palm trees. These grow in great abundance and make excellent baskets and furnishings for people's houses. Other P countries include Pakistan, Palau, Panama, Papua New Guinea, Paraguay, Peru, Poland, and Portugal. Merhaba from Qatar. No, in America we say Qatar, but I've been practicing pronouncing it correctly. Qatar pokes out into the waters of the Persian Gulf like a big thumb, 100 miles long and 50 miles wide. Although it has sea on 3 sides of it, the land is very dry because it gets very little rain. Qatar is mostly a flat, sandy desert. The shamal, a desert wind, can blow fierce sand and dust storms across the country. One way that Qatar gets fresh water is by making it in factories that take the salt out of seawater. Before these factories, the only way you could get a lot of water in Qatar was to pump it up from below the surface of the land or wait until winter, where some rain falls. There is just enough water for every day and to grow vegetables and raise sheep and goats. Beneath the desert and sandy bottom of the Gulf are huge reserves of oil and natural gas that provide fuel for people's cars and buses and electricity for houses and factories. The government of Qatar sells this oil and gas to other nations and uses the money to build hospitals and parks and schools for its children. Most Qatari are Muslims and carefully obey the rules set out in the Quran, their holy book. The boy in the picture on the next page is reading the Quran for his class in school. Children are taught that Muslims do not drink alcohol or wear showy clothes. They learn to pray 5 times a day and to go to a mosque for religious services. They treat their parents and elders with great respect. Women and girls in Qatar dress modestly, often wearing a black robe called an abaya over their clothes when they are in public. Girls like to go to the market with their mothers to shop. Boys frequently play soccer with their fathers and brothers. Many families like to go to the desert or the beach for picnics. Whether you get together for fun or work or worship, your family is at the center of all you do. The capital is Doha. Languages are Arabic and English. Total population is 579,000. Number of children is 180,000. Their favorite sport is soccer. Environmental fact. Qatar has 2 farms where the white Arabian oryx is being bred for release into the wild. The legend of the unicorn may have evolved from travelers' descriptions of the white Arabian oryx. And there are no other countries that start with Q. Привет from Russia. Russia is the largest country in the world. Much of it lies north of the Arctic Circle, close to the North Pole. In the middle of summer, the sun shines all day and all night. This is the land of the midnight sun, where reindeer herders live. Huge stretches of Russia are covered by forest, and you can go for hundreds of miles without coming across any villages or towns. The Khanty people, who have herded reindeer and hunted bears in these forests for hundreds of years, live in this part of Russia, often in log houses, like the one you see in this photograph. Cute. Most Russians have regular jobs in offices and factories like grown-ups in other parts of the world. People tend to have small families. If you were Russian, you might have no brothers or sisters, but you would be very close to your grandparents who would look after you while your parents worked. Early in the 20th century, Russians fought bitterly for a new kind of government and persuaded or forced other countries to join them in one enormous country called the Soviet Union. They wanted to make life better for ordinary people, but eventually the people lost many basic freedoms. Now Russia is trying to change things again. When this book was written 20 years ago, no one could have stood in the middle of Red Square in Moscow and blown a shofar, like the boy in the bottom photograph. The shofar is made from a ram's horn and is used for important Jewish ceremonies. Despite the changes, some things are still the same, like fishing in Lake Baikal or listening to a band playing in front of the Summer Palace in St. Petersburg. How cute. The capital is Moscow. Languages are Russian and other Indo-European languages and Ural-Altaic languages. Total population is 147.4 million. Number of children is 35.6 million. Favorite sports are basketball, gymnastics, track and field, skiing, soccer, and volleyball. Environmental fact. Russia has the largest forest in the world. It is called the taiga and adds up to 1/3 of all the world's forest land. Most of the trees that grow there, like cedars, pines, spruces, and larches, have cones which bear seeds for new trees. Other countries are Romania and Rwanda. Bonjour from Senegal. If you lived in Senegal, you would not get to climb many mountains because there are none. Most of the country is gently rolling dry grassland, where people grow peanuts and millet and raise their sheep and cattle. Millet is a grain like wheat or oats and is eaten every day all over Senegal. The 2 girls in the picture are pounding whole grains of millet into flour so that it can be boiled up into porridge, just as oats can be cooked into oatmeal. In one of the photographs, you can see boys having fun rolling old tires down the road. They have invented a game for themselves using things they found in the village. Almost everyone in Senegal belongs to the religion known as Islam, whose followers are Muslims. Muslims believe in one God called Allah. Like people of other religions, they have feasts and festivals. The smiling girl in the photo is all dressed up for one of them. The most important holiday is Eid al-Fitr. It celebrates the end of Ramadan, a month of quiet and prayer when all Muslims, except for children, women who are expecting babies, and people who are sick, will not eat or drink from sunup to sundown. On Eid al-Fitr, children get presents, sweets, and colorful new clothes. On the opposite page is a photo of a baptism. The baby is just 7 days old, and a village elder bends close to the baby's head. He whispers her name into her ear 3 times. It is the first time the baby hears her name spoken. Next to the prayer mat is a bowl filled with kola nuts and millet. These things stand for blessings in Senegal and are given as gifts on special occasions like this one. The capital is Dakar. Languages are French, Wolof, and other African languages. Total population is 9 million. Number of children is 4.6 million. Favorite sports are soccer and wrestling. Environmental fact. Seeds from the neem tree, originally from India, are ground up and soaked in water to form a mixture that is sprinkled on plants to kill insects without harming the environment. Other S countries include St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, San Marino, Sao Tome and Principe, Saudi Arabia, Serbia and Montenegro, which is now just Serbia and just Montenegro, the Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Singapore, Slovakia, Slovenia, the Solomon Islands, Somalia, South Africa, South Korea, Spain, Sri Lanka, Sudan, South Sudan, Suriname, Swaziland, which is now Eswatini, Sweden, Switzerland, and Syria. Merhaba from Turkey. Turkey is made up of 76 provinces. Many Turkish children grow up in modern cities like the 2 boys from Istanbul that you can see in this photograph. They are hoping to catch some fish. The city of Istanbul is split down the middle by a strait of water called the Bosporus, where big ships sail up into the Black Sea or down into the Sea of Marmara, bearing trade goods and people as they did in ancient times. In one of the photographs, you can see some girls near a house that is built like a tent. Right here. They need a home that can be moved easily when they move their sheep to new pastures, so they make yurts with strong poles and heavy cloth or animal skins sewn together. Whatever kind of house people have, it is likely that they have rugs on the floor and sometimes on the walls too. The rug that you see hanging up for sale behind the boy and the motorcycle is called a kilim. Turkish carpets are among the finest in the world, and they are usually made by women in their homes. Older women teach children in the different patterns and how to knot the wool into the backing fabric or weave them on looms. Turkey is one of the few countries to have a National Children's Day. Every year on April 23rd, school children dress up in traditional costumes and celebrate the day with dances and performances. Children from schools around the world are invited to take part. The festival is a nice break from regular school and a fun way to learn about the country and its past. The capital is Ankara. Languages are Turkish, Kurdish, Arabic, and Greek. Total population is 64.4 million. Number of children is 22.9 million. Favorite sports are soccer and wrestling. Environmental fact. In the central part of Turkey, the land of Cappadocia is made of soft volcanic rock from which strange cone-shaped hills called fairy chimneys have formed. Other tea countries are Tajikistan, Tanzania, Thailand, Togo, Tonga, Trinidad and Tobago, Tunisia, Turkmenistan, and Tuvalu. Hello from the United States. The United States of America is one country made up of several peoples. In the schools of many cities, you see children who look like they come from China or Zimbabwe, Russia, or Ecuador. There are Buddhists in the United States, as well as Christians, Hindus, Jews, Muslims, and others. You might sample food from India or France, or hear the music of Brazil or Nigeria. You can buy clothes made of fabrics from Guatemala or Senegal. And you can also find things that are distinctly American, like jazz and pumpkin pie and baseball. Every child in the United States hears stories of brave women and men who helped to make their country what it is today. Native American children, for example, tell stories about their ancestors who lived here many of thousands of years before settlers from other countries came. Everyone can feel proud of some special thing that their ancestors shared with other Americans, from how to pop corn to print books like this one, and to what it means for people to be free and equal. In the photographs, you see some of these American children. There are 3 girls sharing a secret, and 2 children taking a break from baseball practice. One boy is playing an imaginary clarinet, and another is getting a lesson from his grandfather on how to play the guitar. The children holding hands are learning a rabbit dance that their parents and grandparents learned when they were children. The United States is huge, and most of its 50 states are bigger than some of the countries in this book. On one side lies the Pacific Ocean, on the other the Atlantic. In between, you could pick what kind of weather and landscape you like best and move there. With hope and hard work and a little luck, you can be anything you want to be and live anywhere you want, from A to Z in the United States of America. The capital is Washington, D.C. Languages are English, Spanish, and Native American languages. Total population is 274 million. Number of children is 71.2 million. Favorite sports are basketball, baseball, football, and soccer. Environmental fact: the oldest national park in the world is Yellowstone National Park in the Rocky Mountains. It is famous for its 200 geysers of hot water that spout up out of the ground to great heights. The biggest geyser is called Old Faithful and shoots 150 feet into the air about once every hour. Other countries include Uganda, Ukraine, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, Uruguay, and Uzbekistan. Xin Chao from Vietnam. Oh, there we go. Many children in Vietnam go to school until they are about 15 years old. The school day is short because many of the children also spend time helping their families at home, in the fields, or by working to earn some money for the family. The young girl to your right is weaving reed baskets in the village of Lam Dinh. She and her family will sell them at the market. In one of the photographs, you see children from the village of Pho Vinh who have gathered to greet some travelers. Many years after the Vietnam War ended in 1973, visitors began returning to the country and rebuilding friendships with the Vietnamese people. The girl on the opposite page is waving to some friends swimming in the Mekong River, the longest river in Southeast Asia. Because much of Vietnam is mountainous, many people live in the lowlands of the Mekong Delta. The river washes down so much sand and silt that they collect and fan out at the river's mouth, where it meets the sea. This is how a delta is formed and how the Mekong Delta got its name. If you lived there, you might have a river house. River houses are built on stilts to keep them above water. Or your house might be a boat floating on the river. The delta is a perfect place to grow rice, which needs a lot of water to start growing. Women plant the rice in flooded fields called paddies. When the rice is ready to harvest, It looks like tall grass. Vietnamese children in this part of the country eat rice at every meal, including breakfast. Often there will be fish to eat with the rice. These children in Halong Bay have tied hooks onto lines and dropped them into the water. They are waiting for fish to come and nibble the bait dangling beneath their boat. The capital is Hanoi. Languages are Vietnamese, French, Chinese, English, and Khmer. Total population is 77.5 million. Number of children is 32 million. Their favorite sports are badminton and soccer. Environmental fact: Vietnamese fishermen are some of the best in the world at catching shellfish like crabs, shrimp, and lobsters. Lobsters live in great numbers off the south coast of Vietnam. Other V countries include Vanuatu and Venezuela. Talofa from Western Samoa. Western Samoa is made up of 2 islands in the Pacific Ocean. In 1997, the government decided to change the country's name from Western Samoa to simply Samoa. They changed the constitution to make the new name official. Life in Samoa revolves around the family, or aiga. Your aiga includes everyone who is even distantly related to you, and the more people there are in your aiga, the more important it is. The head of your aiga could be your grandmother, or your uncle, or your father. She or he will also help run things in your village. Everything in the village is kept clean and tidy. Of course, the children help, like the girl in the picture who is washing clothes. The government has a competition every year and awards prizes to the villages that think they are the neatest and best cared for. Children get plenty of time to have fun, swim in the sea, or play sports. Samoans love cricket and rugby. Children often make their own toys, like the 2 boys holding a toy outrigger canoe that they have made. Most children wear lava-lavas for clothing. These are long pieces of cloth that children and adults wear wrapped around their waists. A lava-lava can be worn as a skirt, a dress, a bathing suit, and as pajamas. It is light and cool and easy to wash. You do not have to go to school in Samoa, but almost all children do. The last day of school is a day for giving out prizes and making speeches. You can see a girl and her mother dancing together for the occasion. Every year on the 2nd Sunday in October, Samoa honors its children. The day is called White Sunday because the people dress up in their best white clothes, go to church, and sing hymns together. Then they go home to open presents and eat fresh fruits and roasted pig. The capital is Apia. Languages are Samoan and English. Total population is 174,000. Number of children is 80,000. Favorite sport is kirikiti or cricket, netball, rugby, soccer, and volleyball. Environmental fact: because the weather in Samoa is hot and humid, traditional Samoan houses have no walls in order to take advantage of cool sea breezes. There are no other countries that start with W, hence why they used Samoa's old name. Welcome to Xanadu. Xanadu is an imaginary country. It is a place where you can be who you want to be. In Xanadu, people laugh, dance, and sing. They listen to each other and work together to solve problems. In Xanadu, it doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from. You will always have friends. Students at Forest View Elementary School in Durham, North Carolina, in the United States of America, have painted a gigantic 10-foot by 10-foot mural of Xanadu, which you can see on the opposite page. Here are some of the things the students said about their imaginary country. Jasmine Anogo says, Xanadu is a place of peace and love where people will respect you and love you. A perfect place to live is a sunflower house where music follows you along the way. So Kim says, Xanadu would be very nice. There would be no fighting, There would be love. Everybody would share and no robberies. There would be enough food. There would be nothing like money and no starving. I would like people to love each other, not hate. I would not like pollution or trash. I wish there was this place on this planet. I'd stay all my life. Emily Little says, to live in Xanadu, an imaginary country, is to be surfboarding and to see people getting off a boat, reading, walking a dog, playing hand games, picking flowers. It is a perfect place to live. Cassidy Burke says, in Xanadu, no one is rich and no one is poor. It's a communist country. In a town in Xanadu, everyone is kind. In a town in Xanadu, there is no fighting and there are no guns or weapons. Anjan Mukherjee says, in Xanadu, my house is a 2-floored house. The attic has a long window. It belongs to a chief. His moose is having a good time. He's sleeping until 9 a.m. He has a letter in his mailbox. And Sophie Bell says, the perfect place to live is under a bed. It's in the dark. You can eat cookies all day and drink Kool-Aid. I suppose that's one way of thinking about it. Alright, more facts about Xanadu. The capital is Imagination City. Languages are kindness and respect. The total population is everyone who wants to live in an imaginary country. The number of children is all children who dream of a better world. The favorite sports are all fun games and activities that can be played on water, land, or in the air. Environmental facts. The air and water are perfectly clean. There is no pollution and no garbage. Everything can be recycled and reused. There are no other countries. There's one more quote down here by Latia Ward. Xanadu is a place where there's flowers and there's no violence and it's quiet and it's a peaceful place. That's a place for you and me. Merhaba from Yemen. The capital city of Yemen is Sana'a in the northwest of the country. The buildings there are tall and white and have stained glass windows. The white paint reflects the blazing sunlight and helps keep the buildings cool all day. Not much rain falls in Yemen, especially along the coast. There are no streams or rivers that flow all year. The animals that do best in very dry areas are, of course, camels, like the one the little girl's holding on to in the picture. Here. Camels aren't fussy about what kind of grass they get, and they can go a long time between meals. If you are lucky, you might see a camel in Yemen, but nowadays most people use trucks or donkeys. The boys standing in a row are showing off some toy trucks they have made. They used old plastic jugs and cans for the bodies and circles cut from old flip-flops for the wheels. Most Yemenis are Muslims. There are lots of differences between Muslim countries, but in many of them, girls and women will cover their hair when they are out of doors, like the girls in these photographs. One photograph shows a girl standing with her brother in front of a wall. I think it's this one, right? Or maybe it's... yeah, this one. Her hands are painted with henna in a good luck pattern. It will wear off after a few weeks. Yemeni women and girls like to decorate their hands with different patterns for special occasions like birthdays, weddings, and feast days. When boys want to wear something special, they might wear a curved knife called a jambia. Knives like these were once used as weapons, but now they are for decoration and to show that you come from an important family. Right, the capital is Sana'a. Language is Arabic. Total population is 16.8 million. Number of children is 9.1 million. Their favorite sports are cricket and soccer. Environmental fact. Farmers dig out the sides of mountains to create small level plots of land called terraces. Enough rain falls in the mountains to grow plants like coffee, millet, bananas, and papayas. There are no other countries that start with Y. Maheroi from Zimbabwe. A long time ago, people in this part of Africa built a large city, which they called Zimbabwe. The name means stone houses. When the people of the country were looking for a new name for their nation, they chose this one, which reminds them of their long and proud history. If you travel around Zimbabwe today, you will see a lot of stone. Huge stone boulders the size of office buildings lie scattered over the land, some of them balancing on smaller ones, like elephants doing tricks at a circus. Millions of Zimbabweans live in cities and towns, but most families live in the country and work on farms, tending cows and growing corn or cotton. Usually the year divides into 2 seasons, one wet and the other dry. If enough rain falls in the rainy season, the farms do well, but some years there is not much rain at all. Children who live in the countryside know how much their families depend on the weather. Visitors come from far and wide to take photographs of the wild elephants, buffalo, and antelopes that live here. The parents of many children earn their living by providing the tourists with what they need for their safaris: hotels and places to shop, guides, car drivers, and mechanics. The money that tourists spend helps the country in many ways. With some help from the government, a town might build a clinic, so that if a child is sick, the parents do not have to travel for miles and miles to find a doctor. Or people might make bricks from the local clay and build a school, like the one you see in the photograph. Children figure out ways to use what is around them. The boy in the photograph wanted a guitar. But ready-made guitars cost a lot of money, so he found some wood and made one for himself. The capital is Harare. Languages are Shona, English, and Ndebele. Not how I'm used to seeing it. It's Ndebele. Anyway. Total population is 11.3 million. Number of children is 5.6 million. Favorite sports are cricket, netball, and soccer. Environmental fact. Victoria Falls is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. In Zimbabwe, it is called Mosi Oetunya, or the smoke that thunders. And another sea country is Zambia.